Alright, what's going on YouTube? I got a lot of videos to do, okay? So expect some more to come, okay? I'm going to do a video on Nicholas Walters and Lomachenko. I'm going to do a video on Floyd possibly coming back to fight Danny Garcia. I'm going to do a video on Scott Quigg and Carl Frampton. I'm going to do a video on that fight. I'm going to do a video on Terrence Crawford against Hank Lundy, alright? I am going to that fight as well. And I got some other stuff to talk about, but just expect more videos to come. All right, I know y'all been asking. I'm trying not to fall too far behind. All right, now as far as Anthony Joshua fighting Charles Martin, okay, this is how I feel. I'm not gonna make a long video. I believe that regardless of what Charles Martin wanted, I never thought I thought the outcome of the Glasgow and Martin fight, I thought if Charles Martin won the fight, I wasn't expecting for him to be one of these fighters that's going to fight 2 or 3 voluntaries until he gets a big fight or fight another a title holder at heavyweight. I wasn't expecting that. You know, I figured if he won the fight, he would go right into fighting a Deontay Wilder or Anthony Joshua. I didn't think he was one of those guys that was gonna hold the title and just fight voluntaries. You know, I wasn't expecting that. You know, him beating Glasgow in the fashion that he did. I mean, obviously, Glasgow got injured in the 3rd round. All right, so the fight was stopped. All right. There's not a lot of footage out there for Charles Martin. I actually never heard of Charles Martin before him being scheduled to fight Glasgow. I've never even heard anyone speak or mention Charles Martin before. When I found out he was fighting Glasgow, I looked up some of his fights on YouTube. There's not a lot of footage on there. I know he fought on the PBC before. I saw him fight some small bum on the PBC, and he washed him up easily. Okay, there's just not enough footage out there for Charles Martin for me to know how good Charles Martin is. And the little bit of footage that I've seen, I don't think there's anything special about him. I mean, he's a big guy. He's a southpaw. I mean, he does have a good KO ratio. But he's the prospect going into this fight. Even though he's the champion, he's the IBF champion, he is the prospect going into this fight. Okay? Anthony Joshua fought better fighters. Okay? And Charles Martin was, you know, not for nothing, and I really don't like Glasgow because I thought Glasgow got 3 gifts, okay? I thought Glasgow lost to Rossi, okay? I thought he lost to Malik Scott, and I thought the Cunningham fight should have been at least a draw or Cunningham edged that fight, you know? So I'm not a huge fan of Glasgow, you know, and I thought Glasgow was winning the first 2 rounds, you know, and I think Martin definitely turned it up in the 3rd round, you know, and I think Martin realized that, you know, Glasgow might have had the better of him in the first 2 rounds, but Martin definitely turned it up in the 3rd round, and Glasgow got hurt, all right? So we never would have known the outcome of that fight, okay? We didn't get any rounds in that fight. So I really don't know how good Charles Martin is. And I think Anthony Joshua is better. I think he's more technically sound. He's bigger. I think he's stronger. Okay. For the people that say that Joshua was exposed against Dillian Whyte, first of all, I think Dillian Whyte is better than Charles Martin based on what I've seen so far. You know, I think the way Joshua fought Dillian Whyte is that he straight big boyed him. He walked him down, used his size against him. And even though going into the fight, I thought Joshua was the more technically sound fighter. In that fight, he forced Dillian Whyte to box and fight on the back foot and move. He forced Dillian Whyte to do it. Okay? And Dillian Whyte did great. You know, and I think Dillian Whyte would be a good opponent for anyone in the heavyweight division. You know, I think Dillian Whyte is a good fighter. All right? But Joshua beat him, and I don't think there was any exposing of any sort in that fight. I think there were 2 good, young heavyweights going at it. They put on a good fight. It was a good show, and that's that. You know, I think Dillian White can probably still beat a lot of heavyweights right now. Charles Martin, I really don't know. Like, I really don't know how good this guy is. If he happens to beat Anthony Joshua, then obviously he's not no hype job, But I don't think he's going to beat Anthony Joshua. I think Anthony Joshua is going to destroy this guy. All right, and I just believe that Martin winning that title was just, he's just bait for whoever, whether it was Wilder or whether it was Joshua or whoever, big fighter. I thought he was going to end up losing the next fight anyway. I never thought that the PBC and Al Heyman was going to push him, and because he's still in development mode, in my opinion. I mean, he just doesn't have the amount of fights, and he hasn't fought any really good fighters. He just hasn't. So I don't know. I mean, you basically guys get what I'm saying. I don't think he has a shot at beating Joshua. He's going to go out in the UK and fight Joshua. And I think Joshua is going to destroy him, And I think he's going to destroy him in better fashion than he did against Dillian White. I think he's a better boxer. He's the bigger boxer. I think he's the more athletic boxer. I feel like he has every single advantage. I think Charles Martin has a puncher's chance of winning this fight. And listen, if he wins the fight, I'm going to give him his props. It's not like I'm sitting here trying to hate on him. It's just that there's nothing out there for me to tell he's green, and there's nothing out there for me to tell if he's good or not. I mean, they're both kind of green, but Anthony Joshua has fought better fighters, and he's looked impressive against better opposition. So I can't say the same for Charles Martin. I really don't know how good he is. I saw 2 rounds of a competitive fight against Glaskov, and Glaskov got hurt, and that was the end of that. So I'm expecting Anthony Joshua to knock Charles Martin out, and maybe within 5-6 rounds, and that's that. And I see Joseph Parker is eyeing the winner of that fight. A big supporter of Joseph Parker here. You guys know that's probably like my favorite up and coming heavyweight right now. So I would love to see, especially if Anthony Joshua is to win this fight, I would love to see that fight between Joshua and Joseph Parker, because I think Joseph Parker is nice. So I would love to see that fight. And that's it. That's really it. I'm not gonna make a long video about it, right? I got Joshua winning by KO and dominating Charles Martin. Okay, and then we will have Wilder holding the title. We'll have Joshua, and then we'll have Tyson Fury, and it'll be, hopefully we get a unification match, or, there's still a lot of top contenders out there. Wilder should be fighting Povetkin next. Wilder might lose that fight. So there's a lot going on in the heavyweight division. I'm glad there's no catch weights or no silly nonsense going on right now. But I got Joshua clearly winning this fight by domination. He's going to knock this guy out quicker than he did Dillian White, in my opinion, all right? So make sure y'all subscribe, and I got more videos on the way. Peace.